Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Boisterous, coming to you with some Gold League goodiness from Shakuris Plateau. Up here in the top right-hand corner, we have Josh spawning as the Red Terran, and over here in the left-hand corner, we have LittleMac spawning as the Blue Protoss, and I don't know what Kila Sele means. It's always great when you start off a game with a phrase you don't know. That's awesome way to kick it off. Anyway, we have Josh being all smiley face McGee. And yeah, I'm sorry for not getting the video out yesterday. I let time get out of place, and then I didn't have time to run through the processes of making one. Anyway, we have both players going for their pylons and their supply depots at very average locations. LittleMac going for like the kind of more economical one, like right next to his base. Let your probe can return to mining as fast as possible. And LittleMac saying, because you're so nice, I won't cannon rush. What a night, you know. See, that would be the perfect thing to say, and then cannon rush. He's not doing it, but like as soon as somebody mentions cannon rushing in a game, I'm like, that's suspicious. I don't think he's actually going to keep his word on that. However, amazingly, he is. So we have Josh building up his barracks at his front, the gateway going down for our Protoss player. This SCV is actually going to be scouting to the Protoss base first. Of course, getting there later than this probe got to the Terran base. And the probe is... it's going for the snipe on this SCV, and I'm not sure if it's worth it. The probe is going to back off, and he didn't get a whole ton of good scouting info off of that. And honestly, his probe might die. If he just gets smacked like once. Oh. Wow, that was really not worth it. We have the cybernetics core going down from LittleMac. Not building any sort of zealot style gateway. He's not worried about any amazingly early pressure, so he's just going to be going for the cyber core before any sort of unit play. And I'm guessing he's gonna, in that spirit, get his stalker out as his first unit. We have the second barracks coming out from Josh, reactor on the first barracks, so looks like this is probably going to get a tech lab on this Rax, and then he's just going to go for some kind of light pressure with Marines and Marauders. That's kind of the flavor of the month, or the flavor of like the last 4 months for Terrans. And we have a couple of simulators going down for LittleMac, getting his gas income up there so I can really kick into production with sentries and all that good stuff. And yeah, nothing amazingly surprising coming out from either players. Josh does have his orbital command, so he did not completely forget that, like an amazingly large amount of people do. And the tech lab is coming down for him on this barracks, along with another couple supply depots. Actually, he looks like he's a bit worried about getting supply blocked at this rate, and he should be. He has that 27 out of 27. And the robotics facility is coming down from LittleMac, so that was kind of a rush to this robo facility, not going for the average 3 gateway kind of thing, and making sure your gateway army is stable. However, he's going to manage to deny scouting, which is really going to help when it comes to having this robo bay out. And is the stalker? Yeah, he does get the last shot off on that SCV, so that is very annoying. Now, of course, we have the Marines moving across the map, sniping the probe at the Zelmega Tower. So both players have lost basically an even amount of workers. Actually, Josh has killed a couple more because of that original probe, but it's basically all even up as far as worker goes. Yep, 22 to 22. We have the Immortal coming out from this robo facility, which is definitely the right play to make here, especially if you think your opponent's going for any sort of early pressure. Usually from a Terran player, that means Marauders, and Immortals kind of just hard counter Marauders. They will absolutely demolish them, especially with the backup of a sentry dropping force fields for them. It's just not even going to be a challenge. So yeah, we have the 5 Marine, 1 Marauder force getting backed up by another Marauder, another 2 Marines. So this is actually looking kind of dangerous for LittleMac. This is a pretty big force. If you can land this force field, that was the best force fields and made the Marauders slow down, I guess, and kind of like choked off all of the other forces. Actually, I guess that was a pretty good force field, mainly just because his opponent didn't back off and he managed to spawn in a couple more a couple more stalkers. And we have the Terran force running back to their base. The SCV looking in prime position to drop a command center and then backing off. We have the factory coming out with a reactor, probably going to swap that right onto a starport, because honestly at this point in the game it would kind of be useless to have Hellions, because he knows his opponent isn't going for any sort of like charge lot Archon play. We have the Observer coming out from LittleMac, so he's going to hopefully get a pretty decent scouting position off onto Josh. And I would expect the lift on these two. Yeah, there we go. So we have the lift going down both of these buildings, swapping them off so that the starport has its reactor. And the Marine Marauder force is kind of just sitting here at his base, not really getting him any map control or anything. We do have a Marine at the Zelnaga tower, making sure he knows what's up. However, the Observer is scouting ahead, and it doesn't look like it's going to be seen, so this is kind of good for LittleMac at this point. He sees every piece of tech that has gone down. He knows exactly what's building. He sees the command center coming up, and his Nexus is going to beat that command center by a mile. He's going to probably get really far ahead on economics in a couple minutes, or well, a few seconds actually. Right after this Nexus finishes up, I would expect his income to just start jacking up past the Terran player. And the Mule is kind of getting missed on this orbital right now, and there finally goes down like 11 energy too late, but that's not that bad. And it looks like we've just 4 sentries and some stalkers and an immortal or two. And he canceled what was probably a Twilight Council? Actually, that might have been a Stargate. I think that was the cost of a Stargate. So I think he canceled the Stargate. And there are the 7 Marines, 2 Marauders. This is not a big force. This is actually absolutely nowhere near dangerous, especially because this move out got scouted by this Observer, and he knows exactly, and he knows that there's a medevac that's going to be landing in the back of his base. He has his forces positioned appropriately to deal with this, and Josh's force is kind of just going to get cleaned up at the back of the base. The front of the base force is actually not getting dealt with, so that might get a couple of kills, but I don't think it's going to be anything major. This medevac is down to 62 health, so we should just leave a couple of stalkers left. So actually, Josh managed to snipe off quite a few probes up there. That brings him up to 12 workers killed, which puts him 3 workers ahead on the worker count, which is definitely where he wants to be, especially since his opponent got the earlier expand off. And it looks like we have just more bio coming out from Josh, but he doesn't have enough buildings to build this much bio, or to build enough bio. He needs a couple more, he needs at least 2 more reactored barracks, I feel, just to make sure that he can get out enough Marines to spend his money, or maybe like 1 reactored barracks and 1 tech lab barracks, just so I can actually burn through money, because he has a lot of it. Or at least he had a lot of it. I think he might be working on more infrastructure. And there we go, an armory and an engineering bay going down. So I don't know what this armory is for, considering the fact that the only thing he really has is medevacs, and medevacs don't need armor. I mean, it's armor, but, you know, at the same time, it's a medevac. Yeah, if your medevacs are getting sniped, your medevacs are going to go down, no matter how much armor they have, to be honest. The flying heal bus is not the flying heal tank. And we have the kind of ish doom drop getting ready to load up. However, this is a way better army than the army that's going to be dropping in. This is kind of just like a ragtag band, to be honest. Especially considering the fact that we have Storm coming, the Templar Archives is already up, and he's not actually going to manage to scout that. One of his full medevacs gets sniped. That is pretty rough for our player. And yeah, not looking good for the Terran player at this point in time, especially after that really just a whiff of an attack. Because now the Protoss is just so far ahead on tech. I think the Terran player did just finally scout that Templar Archives building Storm. However, at this point, he's too late to do anything about it. Like, if he had repositioned that drop in a position to snipe this, so I'm guessing that was a mistype. I think he meant to send that to a friend. Oh well, no. Not gonna harp on him a little bit. The sending messages in this game is not that good. I hate the fact that you like hit enter and then you tab and you can't use like /W. God, it's so annoying. I think you can use /R. And I guess you might be able to use /W, just not in chat box, just not in like the chat windows outside of games. I've never actually tried it. But all I know is that tabbing through the channels and like misclicking on the channel and actually typing it and accidentally like typing into clan chat or something like that is so annoying. And we have the Bioforce moving out again. They have reasonable upgrades. It's 1-1 versus I think 0-0. But the fact is that, you know, Storm absolutely destroys Bio. There's no question about that. So I feel like this is a really not a good engagement, because we're just going to see like 3 or 4 storms go down, or a whiff of a storm go down, and it doesn't even matter. Like, that was a complete failed storm, and like he's still cleaning up. He could definitely use a couple of force fields to really make those storms stick. He does have 3 sentries left. All of them I think have full energy, so really he could drop as many force fields as he wants. And do we have a Ghost Academy yet? Yeah, we do have a Ghost Academy. Good. Because if we didn't have a Ghost Academy, that would kind of be depressing. But alas, we do. So we do have the cloaking coming out for our ghosts. And ghosts, of course, are very nice counters to the entirety of a Protoss army, because, you know, you knock off shields from everything, and you can do a lot of damage to energy. Now we have feedbacks. Oh, those were beautiful feedbacks going down on every medevac. And as soon as that's done, I mean, as soon as you feedback the entirety of the medevac core from a Terran player, the battle is kind of over, especially if they went really heavy bio. And Marines with a little bit of a misrally getting marched almost right to their death. However, he is going to make that rally fixed very quickly, I feel. We have the Ghost setting up out in the front of his base. He's making just 1 per production cycle, because every other one of his barracks have reactors on it. I think he just needs a second tech lab barracks and just needs to start cranking Ghosts out so I can really EMP through this Protoss army, because EMPs against things like Immortals are freaking amazing. Just really good. The Marine being a bit annoying, just sniping off at this Nexus, so he does know about this Nexus, but amazingly he's not dropping his own command sensor to fight against it, because really, now that he has Ghosts, he's in a pretty good position to defend. He might not be in a good position to attack, because sometimes when you're attacking you don't have good viewpoints on where things are. Surprisingly, just burning through this Ghost's energy right there. And sending like 4 things from his army out as a little bit of a hit squad. I don't know why he's doing this, especially leading them with 2 ghosts, which is, you know, almost the entirety of his ghosts. Actually, they are going to meet up with the rest of the army, so it wasn't that awful. It was just kind of interesting. And it looks like, oh god, that is a lot of High Templar. Jeez. That's a frightening amount of High Templar. And we do have, there's the EMPs, very nice EMPs, but the storms, the storms are just too good. He did not manage to get the EMPs where he needed them. He is going to manage to snipe off a couple of Immortals. I feel like if he was able, no, never mind. Too much production from our Protoss player is going to stop him from pushing this advantage anymore. However, that was definitely a good engagement for him. If he had managed to keep a couple more medevacs alive, he might have been able to push the advantage and really gone for the throat right after that attack. But alas, he did not. So it looks like he's going to be forced to drop back pretty soon. And yeah, this next Bioforce is moving out already. However, the issue is that there's so much production from our Protoss player. He needs to snipe this Nexus. This Nexus is third. Oh, there we go. Alright. So he does manage to snipe the Nexus, which really puts Protoss in a not beautiful position going into this next engagement, because he has a lot of production and he has quite a bit of bank, but pretty soon that bank's going to run out, and the Protoss army, and the Terran army, excuse me, can just be so cost effective if he landed those money EMPs, but he's just not doing it. Ugh, he really needs those EMPs to land. And he's, sniping off plenty of High Templar, which is going to be especially annoying considering the fact that there's no third base from one Protoss player. But at this point, he's just getting driven back. And LittleMac, with his pretty superior army, along with a couple of a couple of High Templar. I'm surprised he doesn't just morph these into Archons and go for the throat, because at this point, I feel like he should just go for it. He is dropping a Nexus down, but God, this Terran production just is not where it needs to be. The Observer does scout the command center. Ugh, that's not good for our Terran player, as that command center is going to probably be his last hope, his last chance. However, the way that this is going, and oh, there's the storm, the beautiful storm, and I think that's just going to be game over, as this, yep, there we go. Josh with the GG, and Josh has left the game, so congrats to LittleMac on his victory. You can submit any games you want commentated into boisteroussc2@gmail.com, and you can head on over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2 to subscribe and follow any videos I put up. Also, you can click through the link in the description below to get to my BattleNet thread, which is where I post most of my news, as far as when I put a new game up and its title and all that stuff. So if you guys just want to follow that thread instead of subscribing, that's fine too. I don't really care either way. And yeah, remember to send those games in, guys. I'm kind of getting low on my hopper. I think I only have like 5 more submissions to get through until I'm out. So just remember, keep sending them in. And yeah, this is Boisterous, signing out.